I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Me and the film Halloween go back quite a while. If my memory is correct, I was about 5 when I first saw a TV edit on one of those weekend movie specials back in the day. Do they still do those? It's been quite a while since I watched local TV. Anyway, according to my mom, I would laugh any time Michael Myers would kill someone. Back then, I found the film cheesy. I'm not sure why. I was an easy to scare kid, but for some reason the film did nothing for me. I remember being much more scared of Halloween 2. Maybe it had something to do with the higher levels of graphic violence compared to the original. In any case, years later I would revisit Halloween 1. And this time, not only did it manage to unsettle me, it gave me a whole new appreciation for the horror genre as a whole. In the late 1970s, director John Carpenter and frequent writing collaborator/producer Deborah Hill set out to make a low-budget horror film with a very straightforward yet effective premise. A group of babysitters are stalked and killed by what is essentially the boogeyman. This little film would go on to not only perform better than they ever dreamed, but also spawn a seemingly endless stream of sequels and remakes, including the latest entry, which is released only a few days before the writing of this video. The story of the film goes as follows. In 1963, on Halloween night, a young boy named Michael Myers stabbed and killed his older sister Judith for reasons no one can explain. He spends the next 15 years in a mental hospital, much of that time under the care of his doctor Sam Loomis, played by the late Donald Pleasence. On the night before Halloween in 1978, Michael escapes and returns to his home field of Haddonfield, Illinois. The next morning, Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis in her film debut, drops off a key for her realtor father at the Myers house. Little does she know this is seen by Michael, who begins stalking her and her friends, slowly waiting for the right moment to strike and kill them. During this time, Dr. Loomis attempts to persuade the town sheriff that Michael has come home to kill again. As day gives way to Halloween night, it becomes a race against time until either Michael or Loomis can get to their prey first. I have watched Halloween more times than I can count, including right before writing this. While there are some elements that have drastically aged the film, and some of the acting can be borderline cringy at times,
Hey, Linda, Lori, why didn't you wait for me?
We did. 15 minutes. You totally never showed.
That's not true. Here I am.
it still amazes me how effective the film can be all these years later. Like I said before, it's straightforward, but effective. It never gets bogged down with convoluted plot threads like a lot of the later films are guilty of. It's also nice to see Michael Myers as such a force of nature. Other films try to delve into his motives as early as Halloween 2. But in the original, he sees Laurie and just wants to kill her and her friends. Nothing more to it. Throughout the film, he is referred to as the Boogeyman, and that's precisely what Carpenter set out to make him. Evil, without explanation or motive. As much as I adore the visuals in this film, from the great use of POV shots to absolutely inspired long takes, the real star of the show is by far the music, composed by Carpenter himself. That simple piano tune will get stuck in your head, and you'll never forget where it came from. In terms of iconic status, the only other comparable horror theme that comes to my mind is Jaws, And even then, as much as I like John Williams, I think I'm going to have to give this round to Carpenter. But don't worry, not by much. If you have not seen the original Halloween, I really don't want to say much more. It's a movie that everyone should experience for themselves. After all, it's almost Halloween, and everyone's entitled to one good scare.